with us Mr. Victor Muhammad, who will be discussing the creation of his natural immunotherapy supplements. And the title of this evening's program is Natural Immunotherapy Supplements. Could the recent increase in deaths been avoided? So we now have Mr. Victor Muhammad, who is a biomedical and agricultural research scientist with 36 years, and maybe 37 now, 37 years of experience and expertise in the creation, development, and management of laboratory and research programs. He has developed a landmark immunotherapy product, which has caused the notable serodeconversion of an HIV patient publicly announced at the 1995 Million Man March, and there have been others that were not so publicly announced. He has worked for various prestigious university research departments, such as Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, Howard University School of Medicine, and Florida A&M, as well as the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and the National Institutes of Health, NIH. He is the CEO of LSOW, Maida Farms, and the VM Medical Group. Please welcome Mr. Victor Muhammad.
Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Muhammad. And it's a pleasure to be a guest on your broadcast. Thank you.
The pleasure is ours. We have hosted you before, and I think that it is only befitting that we invite you back, especially to talk about the natural immunotherapy supplements that you have developed. And so I'd like to get right into it. And I'd like to ask you, the development of the initial original product, IB100, Immunoboost 100. I'm sure you may, you've talked about it over and over, and we should all know by now, but I think it's fitting here that you please give us the inspiration that actually inspired you to develop such a life-saving initial flagship product.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. The initial product was developed in November 1994, and I had no idea what I was developing because I received a phone call from Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad, who at that time was the Nation of Islam's Minister of Health, and he was the executive director of the Abundant Life Clinic in Washington, D.C. in Northeast. Dr. Alim and five other doctors were treating people infected with HIV/AIDS with a product called Kimron and Imuviron, which is a interferon alpha product. The product was being purchased from Hayashi Barrows in Japan and an Australian company, and was being purchased from Dr. Davy Coage at the Kenyan Medical Research Institute in Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. Muhammad had received a shipment of these products, and they were confiscated by FDA at the Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. He called me. At the time, I was working at Howard University School of Medicine and Cancer Institute, and he stated that his patients were falling deathly sick and he was losing them because the medication had been confiscated, and he wanted to know if I could do anything to help. I had no idea what I could do. I know that when I was at the National Institutes of Health in 91, 92, we had done some trials with interferon alpha, but the investigators could not get it to work, so they threw it in the trash. And I remember what we had done, and I suspected that the product, the interferon, would work because it works in the body. So if it works in the body to fight off viral infections, then why wouldn't it work if we gave it to someone? And the problem that they had at NIH was the investigators, the researchers, were arrogant and conceited because many of them had graduated from Ivy League schools or schools like Caltech, things like that. And you could not tell them anything. And so what I did, I went and got my immunology textbook from graduate school and I reread the section on uh, immuno, immunology and cytokines. And I found the concentration of the interferon alpha that the body excretes when there's a viral infection. It was like something zero point 0.5 or something picomole concentration, which is extremely small. It's molecular, so it's extremely small. And I extrapolated that using a formula to calculate international units from the micromole concentration. I put that in a bottle and I took it to Dr. Muhammad at the clinic. I think I took 12 bottles there that were 1 ounce each. And I said, brother, try these. And I left. And 2 days later, he called me in my laboratory at Howard, and I could hear all the people shouting, and I could hear like an uproar in the background. And he said, brother, it worked. It worked. The patients are improving. And I ran to the garage at the medical school, jumped in my car, and drove over to the clinic because I wanted to see. And when I got there, sure enough, the patients were up and walking around, and they were doing better. So um, from that point, this was in November 1994, and by March, April 1995, we had our first two zero deconversion from people taking the supplement, and that was Demetrius Haskins, and he's now Demetrius Muhammad, and a sister in Baltimore named uh, Francine, Sister Francine. They were the first two people in the Western world or in any world to be cured of HIV and AIDS. And they took the supplement that I was inspired to produce. And from that time, by August of 2002, there were 8 people on record whose lab results were not done by me. They were done by LabCorp, an international laboratory company. And they're the ones who, if you read the diagnosis of their lab results, They did not say that the person was cured of AIDS. The report from LabCorp stated that it says viral load colon none detected, and that was more legal than biological. So what it was stating was that when they tested the serum of Demetrius and Francine, they found no virus. And this was the first time that a person in on the earth had been cured from AIDS. That's the synopsis, Dr. Muhammad.
From that time to now, are you aware of other uses for Immune Boost 100 that has caused such a profound improvement of condition?
Those who have listened to me for the last 31 years, I've been on radio, newspaper, internet. I've been interviewed every by many news organizations and reporters in print media, radio, television, internet, podcasts, and no one has found me to be a liar in 31 years. And so there is nothing on which this product has been tested where it did not give good results. Nothing. There is no ailment wherein this supplement has been applied where the person did not get good results. In many instances, based on what the individual reported to us after taking this supplement, it cured them. These are their words, not mine. It cured them of diabetes, arthritis, um, hairy cell leukemia, multiple sclerosis. There was a Jamaican gentleman living in Washington, D.C. Someone is making noise doing something. There was a Jamaican gentleman living in Washington, D.C. around 1996 who approached us. His wife approached us because he was moribund and bedridden. And his wife approached us because he had been diagnosed with MS. And she wanted to know if the supplement would help him. And I, being honest with her, I said, I don't know. But if you want to try it, we can supply it to you. So she got a 1 ounce bottle, took it to her husband. He began taking it, and the man got out of the bed after, I think, about 7 to 10 days. And he was feeling so well. He was having this saliva kind of secretion in his mouth. He couldn't talk and he couldn't really move. But after taking this supplement for about 7 days, not only was the man able to get out of the bed, he was able to move, and he felt so well that he actually left the US and returned to Jamaica. Unfortunately, when he went to Jamaica, he could no longer get access to the supplement. And I learned years later that he succumbed to the MS, but he made the decision to return to Jamaica. So uh, this is not an exaggerative statement, Dr. Muhammad. In the last 36 years, there has not been one uh, encounter where a person has contacted us with a myriad of ailments diagnosed from their primary care physicians. And many of them had been put in hospice. which means they were being prepared to die. And I don't know what make people wait until the medical world has destroyed their body with chemotherapy, radiation, and other drugs. Then they call us. And it's almost their body is pretty much shutting down. And still, Dr. Muhammad, the supplement makes them better. It reduces their symptoms. And in some instances, maybe 82% of the time, the person recovers.
Yes, absolutely. I am a witness to that. I've had many patients on not just the Immunoboost 100 immunotherapy supplement, but the others. And that's what I'd like to move into now because it's important for people to know that are listening or watching this broadcast that there are other supplements, natural immunotherapy supplements for other, I would say, other ailments or other diseases that you've developed. Could you please tell us more about IB19 and how did that particular natural immunotherapy supplement come about to be developed?
Well, the the ImmunoBoost 100, the first one that was developed in 1994, we we only had that one from November 1994 until 2018, 19, 2019. And what we realized is that the proteins contained in the ImmunoBoost 100 are primarily to fight viral infections. But the body is attacked by more than just viruses. There are bacteria, protozoa, fungus, yeast, all of which attack the body. And we wanted to develop a, a solution that would target bacteria, protozoa, fungus, and yeast. And this is what caused us to formulate the ImmunoBoost 19. I think this was around 2019, 2018 when we developed that. And so the purpose of it is to have a mechanism to attack those microorganisms without the use of antibiotics, because antibiotics do work, but the body becomes immune to them. And once the body becomes immune to them, if you get a certain kind of infection, it can cost you your life. And so, also, antibiotics like penicillin, streptomycin, and the rest of them, they work, but they wreak havoc on your kidneys and your liver. So, you may be cured from an infection that could cost you your life, but your liver and your kidney is now damaged to the point where you need to go on dialysis. And once you go on dialysis, that's not good for you because I'm just going to be candid with you because you've had people to lie to you enough. Uh, once you once you permit someone to place you on dialysis, which 99% of the people in this country on dialysis are African American, and it's hard for me to believe that only African Americans have kidney trouble. I believe that probably I would say as much as 80 to 90% of people who are on have kidney trouble, renal problems. I believe that it's just something that doctors do so that they can continue to dialysis because that's a lot of money. So that's a lot of money being billed to your insurance company. They probably wouldn't put you on dialysis if you didn't have good insurance. I wonder how many people who don't have good insurance are diagnosed with kidney failure or kidney problems. So that was the genesis behind the Immunoboost 19, Dr. Rahman.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And it works very well. I've had patients with um, MRSA, methicillin resistant Staph aureus, and that has worked tremendously to keep down, to minimize new um, nodules and lesions that can just pop up out of nowhere and be very painful. They're little small abscesses that pop up and can drain um, pus and blood and be very painful and scarring. And it's contagious. You can transmit that to someone else. And
Mhm.
so I have a few patients that I have been using um, the IB19 for MRSA. And another product that you have that I use more often than the previous two that you just named because I'm moving into the alternative cancer space more uh, these days, and that's your product, OU7. Can you please tell us about the development of OU7 and what that stands for, please?
The nomenclature behind OU7, it stands for Okoi Uhai 7. Okoi Uhai is Swahili and it means saves lives. Um, that was given to me by a Kenyan Muslim sister. I held a contest after I had formulated the OU7. Well, yeah, what became the OU7. I didn't know I didn't know what name to give it. So I held a contest between uh, some sisters in Morocco and Kenya. And I said I would give $100 to whoever came up with the best name to describe this product. And a Muslim sister hmm, from Nairobi, not Nairobi, but from Kenya, a village in Kenya, gave me that name. And I said, well, what does it mean? And she told me what it meant. And I said, okay, you won the $100. And I sent her the $100 via, I think, MoneyGram. So the OU7, the genesis behind the OU7 is uh, I knew that the Immunoboost 100 was effective in cancer because the literature going back to 1955 with this particular protein uh, reported the anti-cancer properties. And way back when I was working as a researcher at the National Institutes of Health in 91 and 92, my supervisor, who was a black man from Tennessee, a veterinarian, a research veterinarian, and we both had backgrounds in animal science. Both of our undergraduate degrees were in animal science. So we had a perspective on dealing with biological systems that a medical doctor did not have because we had more hands on experience working with animals as animal scientists than a medical doctor did. And we used to sit in the laboratory in the evenings after everyone had gone home, and we said that we believed then that cancer was caused by a viral infection. We believed that most cancers were caused by viral infections. And of course, the magna cum laude guys from Harvard Med School who worked with us, They discounted what we said because both of us had graduated from HBCUs. So, of course, we didn't know anything. So, anything that we postulated, it would immediately be discounted. Then, 20 something years later, the medical world of Caucasians reported that most cancers were caused by viral infections. So what we did, we knew that microorganisms like bacteria, protozoa, and yeast and things like that, they're opportunistic. So if a virus infects your body and causes your immune system to be compromised, then everything else in the vicinity is just going to jump on you and start consuming you. If you didn't know, this is what viruses, bacteria, protozoa, yeast, this is what they do. They actually consume your body. And so we knew that we needed to formulate something that would attack the viral infection as well as the bacterial infection. And so what we did, we combined a concentration of the Immunoboost 100 and the concentration of the Immunoboost 19 into one formula to make the Okoi Uhi 7. And what we found after using it in some people who have been diagnosed by their primary care physician with hairy cell leukemia, breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cyst, fibroid cyst, ovarian and fibroid cancer, and pretty much any other form of cancer. We found over the last 7 years that the Okoi Uhi 7 is effective in reducing the pathogenicity of those cancers. And this is not from me reporting it. This is what the persons who took the Okoi Uhi 7 returned to their primary care physician, their oncologist, and their radiologist, and they reported that they could not find the tumor any longer or the tumors any longer. And this is the history, the brief history of the OU7, Dr. Muhammad.
Thank you very much for that history. So now I'd like to open up for questions. Those that are viewing, please post your questions. Our last broadcast, we didn't have a lot of time for questions, but every broadcast, I truly try my best to host questions. And so I'd like for everyone to please post your questions in the chat while we have Mr. Victor Muhammad to describe and give the history for the natural immunotherapy products. Please post your questions as they relate to any chronic disease, any tumors that you would like to ask Mr. Victor Muhammad and myself regarding the product line. And I'll just state while we wait, I have used, as a matter of fact, I will give you a list of conditions that I've used the product while we wait. Now, I know that we have some questions. So I'm going to pull up some case studies so we can go through that a little bit on the conditions that I've used the immunotherapy product line. Okay, so I have, let me just check, make sure that there are no questions. We have people that are viewing. You don't have any questions about yes.
Dr. Muhammad, let me say this. One of the questions that probably the vast majority of the viewers should ask, because I believe that most of the senses of most of the persons viewing have a certain orientation of mind, and they should ask the question, since since many of their leadership are very familiar with me and these supplements, especially the ImmunoBoost 100. They should ask the question, why isn't this supplement, since they are fully aware of its efficacy, why isn't it being promoted to them? And in the last 5 years or so, there has been an increase in deaths among them, many of whom, based on the reports that I've received, their deaths could have been avoided simply by taking one of these supplements. And if they're if they are being told not to take the supplements, then they should raise the question, why not? Why should I not take the question? The word why is one of the greatest indicators of intellect. I'll repeat that. Using the word why is one of the greatest indicators of intellect, because what it does, it shows and distinguishes curiosity. It means that the person raising the question why has enough knowledge or intuition to know that there is something that they need to know. And so you should ask the question, if Victor Muhammad, is a member, and we know that he is a member, and this product goes back 31 years, and many of the people to whom you listen are fully aware of me and this product and the efficacy of this product, then why isn't it being promoted among you? And why are people being permitted to die unnecessarily when these supplements could most likely save their lives? That is a question that you should ask.
Okay. So we should have questions based upon that statement, as well as, oh, as well as the supplement itself. And we have a question from Loving the Change for a Better Me. Hello, I have a question on the IB19. How beneficial is it for inflammatory or lymphatic responses in the body?
For that, it would probably be better if you subscribe to the ImmunoBoost 100. The ImmunoBoost 100 has a broader range of capabilities than the ImmunoBoost 19. The the amino acids that are in the 100 serve like a they serve as an immune modulator, and the lymph nodes are part of the immune system, the lymphatic system, which when 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 the proteins kill infections like bacteria, protozoa, when they're killed, uh, some of those are stored in the lymphatic system. And these proteins actually enter the amino acids that are in the 100 actually enter the lymphatic system, because that's where many of your microorganisms, especially viruses, go and hide. to hide from the macrophages, the eosinophils, and other members of your immune system. And so I would recommend, not as a clinician, because I'm not a clinician, I'm an investigator, a researcher, but I would recommend if it were me and I had that problem, I would err toward the Immunoboost 100 and not the Immunoboost 19.
Okay.
But that's a good question.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Loving the change for a better me. And while we wait for another question, oh, we have another question. Can you comment on what may cause leukemia to resurface after an extended time in remission?
Re-exposure to whatever caused it the first time. Because if you study us, the human being is a creature of habit. And I'll give you an example. I was sharing this with some people in Africa, in West Africa, just a couple of days ago. In the West, we get we rise for breakfast. We eat bacon, ham, sausages, and eggs. And that is a good breakfast. Bacon, ham, sausage, and eggs. This is breakfast at 7 a.m. Then for dinner, we eat a steak. Excuse me, for lunch, we go to the steak restaurant or we eat a hamburger. That's more meat. Then when we get home in the evening, we eat pot roast or a ribeye or chicken. That's meat again. Now, meat is deleterious to human health. I'm not telling you to become a vegan because I don't know what that is. I hear the term, but I don't know what it is. But what I have seen vegans eat, I'm not sure if it's just not better to eat meat than to eat what I've seen vegans eat. Uh, because those patties, those meat substitutes, I'm not sure why a person would eat meat that's grown in a laboratory, in a petri dish.
So, what also, if I do have patients that have cancer um, that don't eat that type of food, but let's say that this person, I'm not sure who this is, but let's just say that it isn't from, they don't have a poor diet and um, they have a fairly good diet. Um, we're talking mentally and physiologically. What would be some other causes, do you think, in the environment that can contribute to leukemia? And then I will say after you what I think could
Well,
cause them to come back after it's been in remission.
really, what I said, re-exposure
Hmm.
to whatever caused the leukemia from the beginning. There's more than one kind of leukemia. So it depends on the kind of leukemia. There's hairy cell leukemia, and, there are other kinds of leukemia. So some forms of leukemia come from microorganisms, and other forms of leukemia can come from inhalation or exposure to chemicals. So it just depends. But there is no such thing if you're living in America. There is, unless you are growing and producing everything you eat, there is no such thing as a good diet. Because I don't know anything that you can go to any market, any supermarket and purchase, and it's not harmful to your health. Because if you didn't grow it, then you don't know what's in it. So the meat that you eat, the vegetables, even the ones you get from the upscale markets that are supposed to be better, uh, the ones that you pay $2 a pound more for, no. Where's the proof that it's better? So
Yes. To add to that, I'd just like to say what we don't realize, we talk about, as you just mentioned, um, there are avenues that people will go and give information on regarding the physiological causes of cancer. But we also need to address the physiological component of any disease, including cancer. Stress. You'd be surprised how stress can cause the body not to heal properly or not to have sustained healing or traumatic experiences. I upon some of the other interviews that we've done, I remember you saying being in bad relationships, being, stressed on your job, bad jobs or whatever. Those instances are real and they can affect healing. So it's important that those components are also addressed. And that's what I would just like to add to what Mr. Victor Muhammad, our brother, just said. But there
the
is another component.
well, I mean, in 2025, people are still eating shrimp, lobster, oysters, crawfish, eel. Um, People are still eating these things. And that is the same as grabbing a cockroach off your floor and putting him in some spicy seasoning. It's pretty much the same animal as a shrimp. So if you abhor at eating a cockroach, then you should have the same sentiment toward shellfish. Because what is the purpose of shellfish? When a whale, a dolphin, or fish defecate in the water, the defecation falls to the floor of the ocean, the river, the lake, the pond. And the shrimp, lobster, crab, oyster, and mollusk, and all the other shellfish, they consume the defecation of those animals. So when you eat these things, I know how good they taste because before I learned better, I used to eat them myself. In the state of Maryland, they love their crabs. I used to eat them. When I first moved to Washington, D.C. in 1989, I got into the crab thing because everyone in Maryland ate crabs until I learned better. And when I learned better, I did better. And when I stopped eating those things and I stopped eating pork and cornbread in 1989, I I have no more asthma. I have no more sinus problems, and all of those things went away. So uh, the last thing I'll say on that subject is most of us, as Dr. Patrice stated, in America we're in bad relationships. We're in bad marriages. We know that we are not happy. We know that we can't stand one another. The man knows he hates his wife, and the wife knows she really doesn't want to be with her husband. But she could not afford the Infinity Q50 by herself. So she stays in the marriage. And this is one of the greater causes of your health conditions in America, in addition to the volume of food that we eat. If you go to Applebee's right now and TGI Fridays in the Cheesecake Factory, you'll see a herd of African American women sitting at the table, uh, 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 and they're doing the surf and turf, you know, and they, each of them probably averaging around 190 to 250 pounds. And they're eating the steak and the shellfish. Then when they finish the main course, they top it off with a slug of cheesecake with the strawberry syrup and strawberry topping. You see, and then Friday morning or Monday morning, she's got an appointment with the OBGYN trying to figure out why she's got this problem and that problem. Well, it's because of what you do with your fork. That's why you've got the problem. It's not a mystery, and it doesn't require high science. The fork is sending the majority of us to the hospital and to the morgue. Put down the fork, and you'll stop having to go to the doctor.
Well, I'd like to comment on the component about us growing our own food, because that is such a healing revelation if we would only do that. And that would cure most of our ails by having nutrient dense quality produce that is free of insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, free of the toxins in the soil, versus us growing our food in the best soil, rich soil. I would love to do a project to have a family that eats the mass majority, 90% or more of their food that is grown properly, versus a family that eats, quote unquote, from Whole Foods or a health food store, or just, some of the basic farmers markets. And I truly believe that it would be a phenomenal moment to see the benefit that would have on the human body and mind. And that is such a difficult thing now, to get people to want to grow their own food, to be healthier. That's one of the other components physiologically regarding any cancer and possibly any recurrence of cancer, is you have to go back to the basics, go back to the foundation of what we're eating. We dig our graves with our mouths, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. We dig our graves with our mouths, what we put in our mouth. That starts the problem. Then add stress and how we think, and we don't feed our minds with the proper spiritual food that brings life instead of death. So those are some things to consider seriously, because we're in a time now, every time you open up your, I guess they call it your, when you get, what is it called? When you have your daily news on your phone, when you open it up, it gives you, your daily, I guess your daily news. And you see that companies have, there's some something's been tainted. They're recalling produce and vegetables and meats. And, they're always finding something wrong with the water. So we see that those basic needs that we have influence our health tremendously. So we're going to be forced to do what we've been told for many, many, many years, to invest in ourselves, grow our own food, or die. It's unfortunately, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. And so I think that with that, I know it's pretty sombering, but we have to. This is where we are today. We can no longer continue to neglect what we should be doing and expect that we want to live a long, healthy life. It's just not possible. No more questions? Our last broadcast, we didn't have a lot of time for questions. We definitely have time for questions now. Oh, somebody says so many, look at that, so many recalls. I've never seen so many recalls that I've seen in the last 6 to 12 months. There's been a recall of something.
Dr. Muhammad,
Yes.
you spoke of deaths, people dying, and you used a future tense verb with it. But this is not something that's coming in the future. People are dying now because of the choices that they make with their diet and their health care. The vast majority, please listen to what I'm about to say. The vast majority of fruits and vegetables that you purchase and consume right now, they are a facsimile of the product that you're supposed to be getting. What I intend by facsimile is you're just getting the shape of the fruit or the vegetable, and that's all you're getting. If it's a peach or a nectarine or a plum, sure, it's sweet, but it tastes just like sweet water because there's no nutrition in it. They have been bred today where they appear like a fruit or a vegetable, but it's only in appearance because in order for it to be as pretty as it is, it had to be bred for appearance. And anytime you breed an organism, when you enhance one gene in the organism, then you breed out another one. So now you've got nectarines or peach that are sweet, but you get no nutrition from them. So you've got carrots that are 2 feet long now, but you just got a big carrot. It doesn't provide your body any nutrition, and that's one of the reasons you eat so much, because your body is steadily calling for food after you've eaten a meal, because yes, you're physically full, but the body does not recognize volume. The body recognizes specificity. So that means that it doesn't matter how much volume you put in your stomach. If it's not something that the body can use, you just pass it out. And because hunger does not occur in the stomach, hunger occurs in the brain, because the sensors in the stomach and in the bloodstream and in the other organs are telling the brain, yes, we're processing this stuff, but we're not getting what we need in order to maintain homeostasis, normal body function. So they send that message to the brain, and the brain tells the stomach that you're hungry, but the stomach is still full. So this is why you continue to eat even after you've had a 9-course meal, because it's all trash.
Wow.
So I'm teaching agriculture courses now, and this is not something coming off YouTube or Wikipedia or somebody doing a podcast where they're growing tomatoes in a can and blah blah blah, and I'm teaching college level agriculture courses. College level. I just completed the first course last week, and I asked my students to write me a review of the course and what they thought. And I'm about to start teaching a college level course in animal science and a college level course in plant science, because this is what you're going to need in order to grow for yourself. Putting tomatoes in a can or in a on your carport or your garage and growing them in a bucket, that's fine. But when you really need to start growing something, you're going to need to know more than what you got from a YouTube video from somebody doing it as a hobby. Dr.
Yes,
Muhammad.
wonderful. So before we conclude, because we're almost at that time, could you please give your information so we can put it in the chat so someone could contact you if they would like to start your course?
The the email address is lsowusa@gmail.com.
Okay.
lsowusa@gmail.com.
Okay. I'll make sure we have that in the chat. LSW. Okay. So it's in the chat now. Please contact Mr. Victor Muhammad at lsowusa@gmail.com to reach him for the course that
And for
he's.
those for
Mhm.
those who want credibility, I have been a professor of agriculture at 8 different institutions, both white and black. Ohio State, the University of Maryland, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, Alcorn State, Florida A&M, Howard University's med school, and where else? I think that's it. So those are my credentials.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Could we also put up the information for donations for the broadcast so we can donate to the Closing the Gap broadcast? And we do have we have a new website. It's ctgbnetwork.com. ctgbnetwork.com. So everyone can go to our new website to take a look at it. And please let us know what you think. Take a look around and let us know what you think about the website, the new website. Are there any last questions for Mr. Muhammad or myself? I do see a question. It's a clinical question. And I would like to, could you please put my information up for the Loving the Change for a Better Me for the clinical question that she posted? It's rather detailed, and she would like information on alternative cancer therapies. So if you could please put up my contact information, please contact me directly so I can give you some information on some alternative cancer therapies, including the IB100 or the OU7 immunotherapy supplement also. So there is my information. www.healthathisbest.org is the website, but my email is health@itsbest, and that's it's best, the number 1 @gmail.com. Okay. I would like to first thank you very much for giving the information that you have given us regarding the immunotherapy supplements and your course. It is extremely important for us to know more than just a little bit from YouTube about growing our own crops. And I know that there should be those that are willing to take your course, please contact Mr. Victor Muhammad at lsowusa@gmail.com for further information regarding his courses. Are there any concluding words, Mr. Muhammad, that you could give us regarding any of the information that we've shared or that you would like to share at this time?
The last comment that I will make comes from my heart because I see the people suffering and dying for the lack of knowledge. And in some of those instances, it's they lack knowledge because the knowledge is being kept from them. And then there are some who are being advised not to acquire knowledge or access to things that could save their lives. You have to be a thinking person today. If you read the last 10 chapters of the Holy Quran, it's giving you guidance for what you should do during this time. There are people who know that their time has ended. They are fully aware that their time has ended and that your time is now beginning. And they want to separate you from your time. And some of them, the most dangerous ones, will look just like you. And that's what makes them so dangerous. Dr. Muhammad.
I apologize for coming off mute. Thank you for those words. And I'm sure we can all identify with information being kept from us. I mean, especially those of us Black in America, we know exactly what that looks like. And also, I'm sure there have been instances where we unfortunately have injured one another. And today is the day for us to set that aright. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate you coming on the broadcast and sharing the information from your expertise and experience and your knowledge of biomedical research and how you have been allowed to produce such life-saving natural products, immunotherapy products. Thank you again. And as we conclude, thank everyone for joining us, for tuning in. And we anticipate to return on September the 18th. Please watch your Facebook pages, your Instagram pages for our next broadcast. Thank you and peace. Good night.
Good night.
This house is dedicated to knowledge and to the spreading of knowledge. Elijah Muhammad inspired new thought, new mind, new way of civilization among black people. But he wanted a house from which a light could be lifted up to give guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family of our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose purpose of the National Center.